Hey guys, welcome to my home in the online space and our first ever Facebook Live session. So today I wanted to talk about the 7 fears that keeps us stuck from starting our own businesses. So yes, if you don't know me, I'm Lindi. I'm a tech entrepreneur, founder and CEO, and a full-time entrepreneur. I love to teach people how to take their great ideas and turn it into thriving businesses. So let's dive right in. I have a friend that is an inspiring entrepreneur. She does imports and exports to the States from our African products, and she's just very inspiring. But she told me a couple of years ago that, if you say no too many times to too many opportunities, your world becomes so small. And I've got this sneaky suspicion, especially with this pandemic going around and we're coming out of a lockdown, quite a serious lockdown. I feel that fear is really making our world quite small at the moment. And I want to jump on here, and the desire from our heart was to speak about fear so that we can look it straight in the eye and deal with those fears that we all have become accustomed to. So I'm here to assist, I'm here to help, and also here to tell you my journey and what I can struggle with. So the fears that I want to talk to you about today is not fear of heights, but it's a specific fear that keeps us, scared of stepping out of our comfort zones, to pursuing wholeheartedly our dreams and our passions. So I've made a couple of notes to make sure I don't forget anything. But also in the comments, if you're watching live, welcome. I'm glad you're here. But if you're going to watch it in the rebroadcast, I'm definitely going to watch it afterwards, and I'll give you a shout. I will give feedback, and I won't leave you hanging, I promise. So let me know where you're watching from. Are you in South Africa? Are you abroad? I know I've got a couple of friends that are based in the UK that might be watching this. So comment in the box below so that I can know and give you a shout out from which country you are or which continent. So I just feel that fear doesn't have any boundaries. It doesn't define us by continent or race. It happens to us all. So comment in the box below, and I'm happy to have you here. So let's dive right in. So the first one I wanted to talk to you about, and I deal with this quite a bit with business owners or people that wants to start their businesses, and also in my psychology journey, if you want, where people really, the first one I've seen is the procrastinator. So I don't know if this resonates with you and if you can relate, like I can in some spheres of my life. I can be quite a procrastinator. So I've written here the primary fear of a procrastinator is struggling most with the fear of making a mistake, which often manifests itself as perfectionism or the fear of commitment. So what springs to my mind when I read procrastination in terms of perfectionism is also comparison. Now, I don't know about you ladies or entrepreneurs. I know perfectionism and comparison is the thief of all joy. And I know we all struggle with it sometimes. You look online and you look at other people's businesses and you think to yourself, how am I ever going to be like that? Their businesses are so great. They've got 10,000 or even 1.3 million followers. Trust me, I know, I've been there, where I'm starting to think it will never be this perfect. But can I tell you, one foot in front of the other, if we only start today, and in 10, 5 years, even 5 days from now, if I look back, I'm not where I was. I'm 5 days ahead. And our 5 days, I've grown. So if we only take one step, I'm telling you now, we can overcome procrastination. Now, comparison, on the other hand, I've done this, and I'm sure you've done this as well. Comment in the box below if you've got any secrets for us, how to overcome this, and what is the secret that maybe is working for you, so that it can help all of us at the same time. So comparison, I know we also sometimes compare ourselves to other women, and other businesses, and it steals my joy. And what I've been talking about this last couple of weeks with friends of mine is to say, can we please sit in the vineyard and taste the wine? Can we look around and enjoy the journey? I'm so guilty of this, where I just look at the end product and, the destination or the goals I want to reach. And yes, those are important. But at the end of the day, the journey is where we want to enjoy it. So as much as you are a procrastinator, I'm sure if we can just enjoy the journey that we are on without comparing ourselves to others, but being champions of others, I'm telling you now, that's the secret to maybe put away the procrastination and that fear that can choke us up and be like a shackle or a noose around our neck. So that's number one. Number two that I really feel is standing out for me. Oh, and can I just tell you this? My husband, he always says, procrastinators unite tomorrow, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, that's what we all do, hey? Tomorrow is another day because we are procrastinating. So yeah, can you relate? And do you also have a Me Too moment? Give a thumbs up, give me a wow face, and just let me know if I'm the only one who struggles with it. I'm sure I'm not. So yeah. The second one that I wanted to bring up into your attention is the rule follower. Now, I know a couple of those, since we were small and we were taught in school. I'm just reminded walking into class, good morning, teacher. The whole class sings this verse. And from a small or a young age, we were taught to conform, to be rule followers. And I'm not saying rule following is bad. I actually believe we submit ourselves to the rule of the land, the laws of the land. We need to abide by those. And rules are there to protect us. But what I'm feeling is if we allow the rules to become fears, it stifles and it kills our creativity that we as business owners need. We need to have fresh ideas flowing. We need to have creativity to say, guys, what business do I want to start? What is the problem in society that I own or only I can solve? So yes, I believe we need to follow rules, but I do believe there needs to be, my pastor always says, we play on the rugby field where there's boundaries, and we play in the boundaries, and we can, move the goalpost a little bit, and we can bend the rules, never break them. But play in those boundaries, play in those sections that you can be good at, and expand your horizons and stretch those areas that can help us to get out of our comfort zones. Nothing grows in comfort zones, like we've all know. I know it's such a cliche, but it happens, where if we walk out of our comfort zones, we grow. And that's where we are a contribution to the world outside, I'm scared what I'm doing right now. But if I don't do it, I won't be a contribution to my community, to the people that I want to inspire, and other women that can come on the journey with me and say, you know what, Lindi, I'm feeling the same. Me too. I can relate. So yeah. So what I've written here, the rule follower, the primary fear is struggles most with an outside fear of authority, which often manifests itself as an irrational aversion to breaking the rules or doing something that is perceived as not allowed. So yes, rules, again, is good. It's for our protection, but it can also choke the life right out of you. So be careful not to be such a rule follower and fearing the rules. Rather, bend with the rule or let the rules be to your advantage. So that's number 2. So tag someone that might struggle with this, that has said to you, I am such a rule follower. How am I going to be creative? What problem can I solve? Tag that person, because maybe that person needs to hear this today. Or in the rebroadcast, they can go, sit, have a cup of coffee, like I'm having a cup of coffee, and just sit and enjoy this little chat between friends, having a cup of coffee. So number 3 is, oh my word, wait for this, the people pleaser. So I'm sure either you are one, right? You were one, or you know one. Like I know a couple, maybe I've had some tendencies in my past when I was in corporate to be a people's pleaser, especially if you want to climb that corporate ladder, sometimes that creeps into us where we want to be a people's pleaser. Or You found the secret and you've applied it to your life and it's working for you. Maybe you can leave the tip in the comment section and I can apply it to my own life. It would be great if you can, share that little bit of tidbit advice for all of us here. So the people's pleaser I wrote here, the primary fear, struggle most with the fear of being judged, which also manifests itself as the fear of letting people down and the fear of what other people might say. So, when I was just jotting this down earlier today, the one thing that came to mind was we are so bothered by what other people say and what other people think of us. Before I came on and did my first live Facebook or session, what I'm busy with now, I was so worried. What are people going to say? If we worry about what other people say, we will never do the things that only God has called us to do. The song that is so unique and placed in our hearts that the world so desperately needs, we would be silenced if we are so worried about what other people say about us. There's one friend she always says to me, Lindi, other people are so busy about worrying about their own lives. They do not have time to worry about your life. Just get on with what you are doing, And there's this old saying as well, just run your race. Just run the race that you were designed to run. We all have a true calling, our own unique, authentic life that only we can live. Nobody has our story. Nobody has our testimony. Nobody can share what I can share with the world. So stop worrying about what other people might say, other people might think, and just run your race. Because at the end of your life, you're going to ask yourself the question, did I do everything that I could have possibly done? Have I lived an authentic life? Have I spent my life, not preserved my life? There's a very wise lady that I know that Susanna, her name's Susanna, and she always says to me, Lindi, let's spend our life for a good cause. Let's spend it. Let's not preserve our lives. Let's serve others with the voice that God has given us. So that's what I wanted to encourage you with, is use your voice for good. But only your voice, you've got a unique voice that only you can sing. The song that's placed in you is that you can only sing that song. So that is number 3, the people pleaser. So yes, type in yes or no. Can you relate? Do you know of someone? Are you that person? Were you that person? And maybe a thumbs up if you can, or a heart emoji or a wow face, whatever, all of that. So the next one I wanted to touch on is the outcast. Now, I must be honest, early in my career, and especially 2011 when I stepped into the journey of entrepreneurship, or must I say the ocean of entrepreneurship, where we experience so many storms, and yes, there's seasons of calm, but the outcast, I was one of them, and I still sometimes in hard seasons of my life where maybe business isn't going so well, where you maybe are brying in the valley a little bit, then I struggle with these things again. And what I found was these fears aren't just a once in a lifetime occurrence, or not for me at least. What I found in these fears is that it can cripple me when I least expect it, because it comes in waves. It's a daily thing, almost that I need to put away my fear. I need to make a choice to say, today I will not live in fear. I will make the choice to be brave and live an authentic life. I will lead from vulnerability, but I would lead from a place of bravery and courage, because that is the only way I know how. Because if fear is going to cripple me, I will be so disappointed by the end of my life, and I would only have regret. So let's not, as women or as entrepreneurs or as people that's in corporate that wish they can start a business, let's not live with any regret. Let's not live with if statements in our lives. Let's live to the full in the talents and the gifts that only God has given us. So, the outcast. What I've written here, the primary fear is struggles most with the fear of rejection, or a fear of trusting other people, a fear that often manifests itself by rejecting others before one has a chance to be rejected. So yeah, what I am reminded of with this one is, when you were in school or when you're much younger and you start feeling like you put your feelers out and you start dating someone and your heart gets broken a little bit, and you build up those walls, and then you grow mature and you get older, and then you meet someone, and then you are so scared of getting rejected or getting hurt that you rather end the relationship before that person rejects you. And sometimes that is just a place of fear. That place that we spiral into, that is woe's me, is such a dangerous place because it blinds us to all that God wants to achieve in our lives. So for me, this was a big thing. Sometimes we grow up in circumstances, where we feel we have rejection issues, and that trickles in to our adult lives. If we haven't dealt with those things early on, then we sometimes need to look that rejection issue or fear in the eye and deal with it, grieve those areas of our lives, deal with it, heal from it, so that it doesn't cripple us into our adulthood or into just our maturity and on our walk, in our journey or our walk of life. So the outcast was one thing for me that I struggled with. So if you are like me, click the wow face, let me know, I'm being a little bit vulnerable here. So I hope if you are the outcast or you feel that is a fear that you struggle with, the one thing that I found is that my identity is found in something else. It is not found in myself. It is not found in my performance. I had to come to a place where, for me, I had to find peace in the fact that people don't love me for what I do. People love me for who I am. And that is a big realization that, I must be honest, that rejection fear completely was laid down. That shackle was completely cut off my leg. So it is not a fear that I deal with anymore, but it was a fear nonetheless. So that was that one, the outcast. Then the other one that I've written here was the self-doubter. Oh, don't we all have that? That little voice that says, you're not good enough. I've written it down here. This one, the primary fear, struggles most with the fear of not being capable, which often manifests itself as a deep feelings of insecurity and the fear of not being good enough. I know society, the message that we hear on repeat every day is that you're not good enough. You're not smart enough, you're not thin enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not rich enough, you're not enough. And we have that going on repeat every day in our heads, and it feels that every morning we need to wake up and we need to make a choice to silence the message of this world, to say, I am good enough, because the story that I can tell is only my story that I can tell, and that makes me good enough. The testimony, the experiences that I have and learned from, and that I want to teach others, I'm good enough. And I'm good enough because my Heavenly Father, as you know, I'm a Christian, I love Jesus. So for me, my identity is found in my faith. And that is where my strength lies, my validation, my talents, my gifts. That is where it is for me. Where it is for you is you need to settle that in your heart. But I believe that if you've settled it, you can move on in victory and walk in freedom on the journey of building your own business, So I've written here for the self-doubt is you are always capable. Don't feel paralyzed by insecurity and therefore stuck, often critical of others as a way to mask insecurities. I don't know if you've seen it, but now in our society, I think we've got expert mask wearers. And I'm not talking about COVID. COVID has just made it, I'm sure it's just muzzling us with their masks. But for years, people, and us, me as well, have walked with masks showing people a version of myself that they want to see. But I believe that we can be authentic and we will attract people that would love us no matter what. And we can live our authentic selves. So, comment with some excuses that you have come up, that you are not good enough. Maybe we can walk this journey together. I've back in the day before I started on my journey of becoming an entrepreneur, I remember distinctly, my daughter at that time was, I think, about a year old. So it was a turmoil time for me, but an uncertain time. And I remember the excuses I used to say to myself was like, there's no time, what if it fails? Oh, I'm not clever enough. Am I going to make it, So comment with what type of excuses you have come up with and maybe how you have put those excuses to bed, right? And walked a victory. I would love to know that. I'm really interested in your victory and in your freedom and the journey that you're walking. So, I think this is the last one. Number 7, the pessimist. Now, this is a big thing for me because I believe I'm a person that is a glass half full person. But I know a lot of us can, sometimes when our circumstances are so dire, I know we can go into a pit of self-despair. I know we can go into a pit of just saying, it's never going to work out. I will never laugh again. I will never make as much money. I will never be happy. I will never walk in freedom. I would never be able to run a successful business, whatever that success means to you. But what I've written here, the pessimist, the primary fear of the pessimist struggles most with the fear of adversity, which can manifest itself as the fear of experiencing hardships and difficulties or the fear of pain, feels powerless to change circumstances, tends to see hardships as stop signs rather than stepping stones. Friend, I don't know if this is you. I don't know if you are tuning in today, if this is the message that you had to hear, that our words are powerful. Our thoughts becomes the houses we live in. It's important to be transformed in our minds, to not live according to the patterns of this world that tells us we're not good enough, like we said. The society says, oh, there's only a handful of people that can really run their own businesses and run it successfully. Or, sorry, you're a mom, you're a corporate person, you will never come out of corporate. You will never earn enough money to support your family. I've heard those messages. Those messages have influenced my decisions sometimes to feel that I cannot get out of bed. But then can I encourage you that with your words, it gives you direction. Your words and your thoughts predicts where you will go, if you will follow your dreams, if you will pursue your goals. Let this fear not hinder you. Let it not hinder you. Let you not be your own worst critic. And let your words not frame your house that you're going to live in. Rather look at the glass half full. And sometimes when it does feel fake, fake it. Fake it until your reality proves otherwise. So, that is the 7 fears that I feel is really hindering us from starting great, thriving businesses. So, hit the like button if you ever looked at a situation like the glass is half empty. I know I've done it. So if you've done it, just thumbs up and tell me, yes, I'm not the only one, But once we identify these 7 fears in our lives, guys, it's almost like you can't cure something if you don't know what's wrong with you. But if you've identified these 7 fears in your life, at least you can be aware of them now. Are you the pessimist? Are you the self-doubter? Are you the excuse maker? Are you the outcast? The people pleaser? The rule follower? Or the procrastinator? Identify it for yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and have a real, honest introspection. Do that for yourself. There's no better time to start your own business. Guys, we cannot let fear predict our futures. We cannot. It will be the saddest moment if you buckle under your fear. You know, like I said here, once we identify the type of fear that's negatively impacting our life or business, holding us back or keeping us stuck, we can actually do something about it. We can't fix something without first knowing what the problem is. Without a diagnosis, there can be no cure. So, I hope this was valuable to you. Thanks for spending the time with me in my home, online, and welcome. I loved having you here, and even if you aren't live and you are catching this on the rebroadcast, welcome.